Hello, welcome to Fulcrum's live stream. So we have a few team members here today. So myself on the product team, and then we have Emily, who's on product as well, and then Sam, who's in product marketing. So yeah, our goal is to really just show you a little bit more about Fulcrum. We'll be demoing a couple of different things. So we're going to go through a completely revamped feature. We're going to go through quoting, and then we're going to go through some connection between job tracking and quality and show you kind of a few things there. But Fulcrum overall is a much bigger platform than that. So we actually handle everything. People say quote to cash, and really we aim to be a piece of software that's both very robust and computationally strong, that can do very complicated, solve very complicated problems like scheduling and forecasting, purchase planning, those types of things. But also something that's super easy and simple to use, and something that's really enabling you to do more and go faster. So yeah, we'll kind of show some of those different things, but all that's to say is we're only showing a few things. There's a lot more to the system. And so if there's more that you want to see, definitely ask those questions at the end, or book time with someone on our team or a sales team member or something like that. So yeah, before we jump into everything, the only other thing I'll add is we are a tech company, so we move really fast, and we're sending out updates and new features pretty much every single week. So like I said, we'll show you some of the new stuff, and this is also meant to be really informal. So any questions that you have, just throw them in the chat. We'll answer them as we go, and then we'll leave about 10 minutes at the end to answer other questions and stuff that you guys may have. Cool. So with that, I will hand it over to Sam.
Okay. Okay, so like Alex said, I'm going to walk through our new quoting page. This is something that we've been revamping recently, and this is going to be releasing to our customers shortly. So we've recently updated the interface of this page. It's really designed to give you a lot of information quickly and at a glance, and be able to update what's important to you. So we know that this is an important page for our customers, so we wanted to redo a lot of work on the back end as well as some of the interface to make this easier to use. This is also, we released this on our sales order page. If you saw one of our last webinars, you would have seen that. So we've now updated this page to match it. So I've got a quote open here, and you can see the details. This is your customer information. You can set a priority level for the quote, your sales person, and your customer contact. The summary information is really important for this page because this is going to be where you're going to add everything that goes onto the quote. So you can see here, I've got a couple items added right now. I've got a satellite dish and a Mars rover added to this, as well as some shipping fees. Here I can add additional items if I need to. So this is going to pull up for me our entire item inventory. So anything that we have in our system that we can sell or that goes into what we make is going to show up here, but I can search this for other items. So I'm going to search to add this protective cage, and then I add this to the quote. And then if I click into the line item here, I can get some additional details about the item that I'm adding. So a couple things to just note, I can adjust the lead time if I need to. So there's a lot of options here. This will pull through on the quote itself. I can see any attachments that are related to this. So if I needed to look at the drawings, I could do that. And then most importantly, on the line items, I can adjust the pricing here. So I can change the quantity and go through the pricing. Now, one thing that we do have in Fulcrum is you can toggle on if you want margin-based pricing. So here I've got the price just set at a fixed cost, but if I wanted to, I could sell this at a higher or lower margin, maybe depending on my customer. And then I could also add price breaks if I needed to. So if I wanted to sell multiple of these, I could give my customer a break if I wanted to and add price breaks to it. moving down this kind of module here, we also show production data. So this is going to show me what I have in inventory, what's on hand and what's available, as well as how many orders I have that have this. So you can see this demand over here is pulling that through. I can also see the cost breakdown for this if I needed to know that to look at what I'm going to price it at. I have the raw costs here. This data all comes from kind of the back of our system that you would set up early on in Fulcrum based on equipment, costs, labor costs, machining, and then setting your margin and material prices as well. So if I click out of this, some other things on this page to note, I could attach drawings if I wanted to here. We get that question a lot. So I could add any drawings or file attachments that would be relevant to this quote. I can add those here. Notes to customers, if I'm revising this, I can see that too. And then any associated records. So once this becomes a quote that's won, any associated records would show up here and I would be actually able to click through them in Fulcrum. So on the shipping tab here, I can adjust the shipping if I need to, add a shipping method, add costs to it. I could break this apart if I needed to, so I could add different shipping options or ship different items separately. So I can drag and drop here, and this is going to create a second shipment for this. Maybe it's got a longer lead time or a different shipping cost, so I can change that here. And then in the preview, this is going to show me all of that data that I put in on the details tab. So this is what the quote actually looks like. And then from this here, I can see that all my pricing pulled through and the quantities. And then I can also email this directly from Fulcrum. So I could send this out to my customer from here by clicking this email button. Yeah, and then the last thing that I'll show is just the quotes grid. So we have a lot of grids throughout Fulcrum that are designed, again, to give you quick information at a glance. So you can see this is our quotes grid. It's going to show every quote that we have in our system, as well as some key KPIs up at the top here. So I can sort by open, draft, sent, review, or approved. And then in the grid here, I can see, I could sort by which sales person, the value, when they were created, and then the status of them as well. And going back to the quotes page as well, just quickly touching on these statuses. So I have this in a draft right now. These first two, approval and ready for approval, if I wanted to have an engineer review this before I sent it out to a customer, I could mark this as ready to approve and ready for approval, and then the engineer would be able to go to the quotes grid, see what needed to be approved, and approve it from there. I could mark it as sent. This would just help me track anything that's in process, and then I can mark it as won or lost. If I mark it as won, that's going to prompt me to create a sales order for this. So I'm going to click yes, and then it would take me to the actual sales order page if I wanted to. And that is kind of a quick summary on the quotes page. Oh, one last thing with items as well, you can pull up the BOM and routing directly from here too. So if I want to look at the BOM and routing of this, or if I needed to make it custom for just this item, I have this right here and I could make it make a change here. One thing that's unique about Fulcrum is that we combine our BOM and routing together. So you'll see these steps up here. This is the routing for the item, and then below is the materials that go into making that item. So if I needed to make a change for just this, I could go in and edit this, and my pricing would update based on that edit. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Emily to talk through some of the job tracking and quality things.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, I want to highlight some areas of job tracking that help you manage quality. So I will pull up my screen share here. I'm going to be jumping around to a couple different pages, but they all will live in either the production or quality area of the product, just so you know. But we've been making a lot of changes recently to job tracking, especially because this is where people who work on the shop floor will work from. So really, we consider job tracking to be the core of our product because it's feeding so much data into the rest of the application. So this is where data about the time, material picking, what's happening on the job, everything will feed from this job tracking place. So this, again, this is the page in job tracking where somebody on the shop floor would be working from. Just to orient you, you would come in here and start the timer. So we already have 7 minutes, 30 seconds clocked onto this operation. But I would start my labor clock and you can increment up. So it looks like we've already completed one and we need to complete one more. So these two bars in the top can help you kind of see the progress of this specific operation. So the top is showing you time against the estimate. So it's estimated to take 16 minutes to do this operation, and then you need to complete a quantity of 2 pieces. And so you can just track your progress of this operation by using these 2 bars up top. So I can come in here and start incrementing up if I want to. And then you can see in the background here, we've got this 3D image. So this is one of the files that would have been uploaded, like Sam mentioned, at the quote level on the actual BOM and routing potentially, or it could have been added on the order or on the actual job page. So lots of spots where you can upload drawings, files, reference points for people who are actually making this. And we can pull up other attachments or pictures from right here, but you can kind of manipulate this, see what you're making. Details tab here shows you all the high level data about what's going on here. So this is the suspension assembly that we're cutting. It's for job number 1109. A recent ad we made to this page was showing you the quantity of 2. And so we're always making improvements to job tracking, again, because this is such an important spot in Fulcrum. We always want job tracking to be easier and easier to use. So we've got the details area. And then the first big quality piece I want to call out is the in-process tracking, is what we call it in Fulcrum. So these are checkpoints that you can set up to show up on the operation. So we can have a pre-operation checkpoint like here. There's a drawing review, we have to check that. The in-process tracking, so there's this checkpoint to measure drill depth. So we can take a look and see, it tells you the target value is 0.25. We've got the tolerance range. So doing this for each of the pieces that we're completing. And then the post-operation checkpoint too, so verifying measurements. So these are all optional. You can set these up like Sam was showing back on the BOM and routing, on the quote, order, the job level, but you can set these up beforehand so that they show up in job tracking to somebody who's actually doing the work here. And you can set it so that it flags if anything isn't completed or meeting tolerance. So we can come back here. It looks like we needed to have something. Finish this. Okay. So I've added this in-process tracking data to just, again, help you monitor quality. And then this is for job 1109. So if I go to the actual job page, which I'll refresh, this is the job page. So where all of the data for your job lives and updates live. So up top, we've got the KPIs showing you the expected costs. So for labor, materials, and the margin. And then the bigger numbers here are what's happening in real time. So we've already clocked some time, the labor time, and that's why there's a cost showing up here. And then the in-process tracking that I just added, that shows up in the quality tab on your job page. So we can see, okay, there's already data showing up. It shows my measurements that I just made. And then a newer feature that we just added is the ability to download all of this data. So again, the idea to let you track, download, have a handle on all of the detailed quality data that you need to keep tabs on things. So we've got this download right here on the job page. And then back to job tracking, the next big thing I want to mention is the ability to create an NCR. So as we're in here, we're still in progress, working on the suspension assembly. If something happens where you make the call that you need to actually create a non-conformance report, you can now do that right from the job tracking area. So we click this button, NCR is created, and it brings me right here to this page. So we've already got the NCR started. It pulled through the data. So for the sales order, job number, the item, all of this populates, and then you can add details. So, okay, let's say the cause, it seems like it was just an equipment issue. You can save these things. Let's see, details. Plan, so we can save this. And then you've got your NCRs created. So here's the PDF of it. So quick and easy way to create NCRs as needed. And then I'll back out here to the actual grid. So this is the non-conformance report grid where it tracks all of the NCRs. So we can see the one that I just made right here. And then high level, you can see data on all of the NCRs you have going on by status and by cause, and also by overtime. So this was a grid that we also recently redid because we're focusing on quality and helping you to better track your quality data and manage that. So you can just see really easily, like, what are the typical causes of NCRs, how many you have going on, also export this grid as needed. And this is an example of something that lives in our quality section. So just to orient you, like Alex mentioned, there's a lot of Fulcrum that we're, of course, not showing you today. But the NCRs live in this quality section, along with CAPAs and scrap. And then what we're looking at with the job page and job tracking is in this production area of Fulcrum. Okay, so going back to job tracking, the next piece that I want to talk about is the ability to scrap something. So again, we're going about this operation. It turns out something didn't go as planned again, so we actually need to scrap a piece. You can just click scrap, say the quantity and the reason. So this was just a human error. Add it in, and then you can see your data on scrap right here, and also adjust it as needed. So we can see that I unfortunately had to scrap 2 pieces. And then going back to the job page, that data will show up right away here as well. So we can see I had to scrap 2. And then the cost associated will show up once the job is completed. So at that point, we'll know what the unit cost, the total cost was of this scrap. But for now, we can at least just see that there were 2 that were scrapped on this job. And then a really new feature that we just released is this actual scrap report. So this is what I was mentioning here. It's in this quality section. This is a heat map that shows you the amount of scrap that you're having over time. And so this is showing you data for the past 3 months. The dark red are where there are more, like a higher number, lighter just being less. So this is actually looking at the value of your scrap. So dark red is just the higher value of the higher cost of your scrap. Lighter is a lower cost. And you can also look at it by count to say, okay, well, like, where did I have more instances of scrap versus less? And this is a view by team member, so we can see just by person the amount of scrap that's happening over time. You can also look at it by equipment. So we can just kind of keep tabs on by equipment, where is the most scrap happening, if there are any trends that we need to pay attention to or look into. And then you can click into a square or a row to get details. So I clicked on this bandsaw, and it shows me all of the scrap that happened on the bandsaw over time with the links to the relevant job. So you can go to the job and get more detail if you want to. Okay, and then coming back to job tracking, the last couple of things I'll mention here are with relation to certifications and also notes. So let's say, I'm just going to add a quick notes. Sorry about all of the scrap. Send this. And then this will show up back on the job page. So when we go there, we'll see this note showing up there. So if there was a production manager who's keeping tabs on the job page, they would see any notes that are coming through from people who are working on the shop floor. So that's really helpful, especially if you have a loud or large shop floor, or if the production manager wants to keep tabs on the job from not even from the facility, they can see all of these notes show up right away on the job page. And then certifications. So I'm coming in here. I clicked on this pick list. So this is going to show me materials that I need to pick for this job. And so I'm going to pick some, let's see, I'll pick from this. Let's see, I'll pick 20 from here. This is this metal bar I need. And then I also need this fastener. So I'll pick from there. All of my materials. I filled out my checkpoints. So I'll go ahead and complete. Great. And then I'm going to come back to this job page. And then what I want to call out, so we just added the note, which shows up right here. I've got the red dot. I can see the note that I just added. And this change that we are about to release is making this happen in real time. So what that means is that if somebody were on this page and then somebody added a note from the shop floor, it would show up immediately on the page without needing a refresh. So right now you would just refresh the page and then see your notes. But just I think coming in a couple of days or in a week, you won't even have to refresh the page. The notes will just show up live. So that, again, just creates easier communication, immediate updates happening between the shop floor and anybody who's monitoring the job. And then the other piece are the certs. So because I picked those materials that came from those lots, I can now see all of the certifications associated with those materials. So it rolls up all of the certs associated with those raw materials. So you can just bulk print or download those for your own records or to send to the customer, because we know that the customer often wants to see all, the packet of certs associated with everything that went into the job. So you can just click this print. These were just some mock certs that I made, but you can see it's the PDF of everything associated with the materials that I picked. Okay, I think that covers what I wanted to show. I know that we jumped around quite a bit, but really just showing you the quality data from job tracking, especially related to NCRs, scrap, in-process tracking, and then a couple of other updates like notes. So with that, I think we'll bring Alex and Sam back on.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we have a few questions, and if you guys have other questions, just throw them in the chat. We're kind of compiling them, and then we also have some common questions that we get just during the sales or implementation process and things about the areas that the team kind of just showed. So one question we had was about those 3D renderings that Emily was showing on the job tracker. There was a question whether we can display native SolidWorks drawing files or other like file types, and the answer that's yeah, we can. So we can display a lot of different file types on there. And then we also had another question just about closed lost list. So I can show that really quickly here. Let's see. Switch my view to my screen share. Okay, cool. So I'm going to jump back to the quotes and basically just around, I think, where did those lost and one lost quotes live? So they're still always available from the grids. You can always see the lost ones here. And then there are also a lot of data reports and exports and things that you can get from there if you want to run like further numbers and everything. So you kind of just do a export and it'll pop everything, all the data into an Excel file. So yeah. See, we can jump to a few other questions here. Emily, Sam, too, if you have any, looking at the list, any that stand out. Otherwise, I'll just pick one off of here.
There was a question about the operators creating NCRs. What if I don't want them to be able to create them? Can it alert somebody? Yeah, the NCR creation from job tracking is based on a setting, or a permission. So you can turn off the permission for someone to be able to create an NCR from job tracking if you want to. But otherwise, the workflow could just go like the person on the shop floor could just create the NCR, and then it would show up as in the new status, which I guess maybe I'll share because that's.
Oh yeah, that's a good one to show.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, so if you don't want this NCR option to show up, you can turn off the permission that somebody wouldn't see it. But otherwise, they could just create the NCR and then dismiss it. And then new ones would show up in this new status. So that's where somebody like the production manager or the quality manager could come in and monitor the new bucket and then come in here and just see what got submitted or what was started. And then they could fill out the details.
Emily, while you have your screen share up, we also have a question about barcode scanning. I think as it relates to picking and in job tracking in general, if you want to just touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so barcode scanning does work with picking. Fulcrum has labels, so you could print out item labels and then scan the QR code here. I think that probably won't work with the way that the screen share is working, but the answer is yes. You can also use set barcodes up to work the same. So you could just click in here and then scan the barcode or the QR code, and it would pull up the item for you to be able to pick it.
Yeah, and then similarly, when it comes to barcode scanning and QR code scanning and stuff, like Emily mentioned, you can print labels for the raw materials. You can also create labels for your finished items or the jobs themselves. So even on her screen right there, there's a label button, so you can print a label, and then that when you come up, want to find that job again or something, you can just scan it in the job tracker to find it. There is a question in the chat about connectivity, I think related to some of that stuff with Bluetooth enabled micrometers or metrology equipment. So yeah, the way that a lot of those devices work is that they basically act as another keyboard on whatever you connect them to. So yeah, for the most part, anything that's Bluetooth connected like that, you'll just put your cursor in whatever space that you would want to start entering information, and then you can use that to scan. It'll read whatever it's reading and then pop that data point into Fulcrum. So we have teams who use that on places like where Emily was showing on job tracking that has in-process tracking, like checkpoints and stuff, where you're entering specific tolerances and data points and stuff. So yes, you can usually connect those without any issue. Cool. Let's see. We'll take maybe one more question. If you have more, definitely pop them in the chat. Otherwise, we have a few here we can answer as well. So let's see. Oh, I think one question, one piece in quoting that we didn't touch on as much is just within the. Oh, and we have another question that popped up, but I'll answer this one first. So within quoting, we often get questions about the BOM and routing and the costs and sort of where those things are coming from, and if you can see historical data as related to those. So I can touch on that really quickly here. Just pop into a quote. All right, should we see my screen? So I'm gonna just go into one that I know has some data associated with it. But one of the nice things about as you're building out a quote and you have sort of this BOM and routing builder here to build out information, this will also allow you to jump pretty easily to that item and look at historical production information for it as well. So as you're trying to build out the BOM and routing or make adjustments or want to see, for a particular item, how has that run gone before, you can kind of jump between the quoting process and into items to see historical production data. So like this section down here is giving me all the prior runs for that particular item that I had clicked on. And then from there, I could go even deeper if I wanted to and go into the job and see all the details and the specific job costs, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of connectivity in that way with, trying to bring all the data together. Cool. So yeah, we have a couple other questions popping up here in the chat. So I think this was scheduled for about half an hour. We can go over for a few minutes on our side. So we have one question about, is there an overview screen to show the status of all jobs? Yes. So jump into that here. So this will show all of the jobs, kind of their created date. If they're already scheduled, it'll have a scheduled start and end date, and then that's how we're kind of looking at the late status as well. So this is showing us the production due date, and again, kind of, do we have late jobs? What stage are they in? Have we recently finished things? And then a live sort of update of the progress of them here. So this is your kind of jobs overview spot. Cool. And then let's see, we have another question related to jobs. So is there a way to change job due dates in bulk, like from an Excel sheet or something like that? So there's not, we don't have like a I don't know, native sync to Excel that would be like updating those job due dates. But the scheduling system is actually scheduling out the job. And so it's scheduling out and giving you then that estimated start and end, and then kind of telling you which things are going to be late compared to the due date. But if you're trying to mass update those, right now you would go into the job and change the due date on that particular job. Great. And then the last question we had here in the chat was, can UPS shipping link to UPS World Ship? So I think that's maybe an integration question about shipping integrations. So yeah, we integrate with a lot of different systems. The World Ship integration isn't one that we have natively, because I think that some of that is actually through like a desktop application. But in any case, there's a lot of different ways that we can integrate whenever it comes to shipping. If you're just looking to throw a link in somewhere, we can definitely handle that within our shipping module. Show you kind of where people store that information. So we can enter, you could throw the tracking number in here, and that would be linkable and clickable and things like that. Yeah. I think we got through all the questions in the chat. Emily, Sam, were there any that I missed? Just trying to look through here.
That was all.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well then, yeah, thanks everyone who joined. If you guys have other questions, feel free to shoot emails to anyone on this call. Our emails are just our name @Fulcrum Pro. You can also just shoot an email to contact@Fulcrum Pro, or reach out on our website, anything like that. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.